Thank you for joining us. My name is Brittany Doyle, founder of Wise Health SF, which is a public health consulting company located here in San Francisco, California. We are working in collaboration with the Department on Status of Women to bring forth to you Free Your Mind SF, which is a mental health awareness campaign designed to increase access to education, resources, and treatment in San Francisco, focusing on marginalized communities. We have a series of events planned for this fall where we'll be bringing to you a lot of therapists, organizations, and fun activities just to help provide more information around mental health. I will also be sitting down with a few leaders that are working, developing, and innovating to address mental health. Like who we have here today, Director Kimberly Ellis, who is named the most powerful unelected person in California Democratic politics by the Sacramento Bee. Kimberly Ellis has shaped the landscape of progressive and grassroots politics in California and beyond. In the fall of 2020, Kimberly was appointed by San Francisco Mayor London Breed to lead the Department on the Status of Women, tasked to help transform San Francisco in a fully gender-equitable city. Kimberly leads efforts inside the city's operations as well as within the community at large and advocates at the local, state, and federal level for resources, policies that create greater opportunity for women, girls, and non-binary people. Kimberly has appeared on syndicated television and radio and is frequently interviewed by leading political media outlets, including the New York Times, the Washington Post, and Associated Press. And she is here with us today, and we are so grateful to have you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so tell us more about the Department on the Status of Women and how it's impactful to San Francisco.
Sure. Well, the Department on the Status of Women is tasked with helping to ensure the equity for and equal opportunities for women and girls and non-binary people here in San Francisco. And we do that by serving in three roles. First and foremost, we are the watchdog and accountability partner to the city. As you mentioned in my bio, San Francisco has endeavored to be a fully gender equitable city. And we perceive ourselves to be sort of that proverbial mirror that will hold itself up to ourselves and to ensure that we are working towards actualizing that goal. Secondly, we are the chief advocate for all things related to gender parity. That's employment opportunities, leadership development, budget allocation, distribution of services, any and everything that impacts the creation of gender equity. We are the chief advocate for that. And then finally, we see ourselves serving as a community convener, that entity that will set the proverbial table and ensure that everyone has a seat at that table as we work together in collaboration towards realizing the dream of becoming a fully gender equitable city.
Okay, that's wonderful. So how does mental health fit into the scope of services that you all provide?
Yeah. So the Department on the Status of Women has, in many ways, reimagined ourselves. The sort of impetus for that was this global pandemic that we all experienced individually and collectively. And so the new Department on the Status of Women has three core service areas. The first one is health and safety. The second one is economic security. And the third one is civic engagement and political empowerment. So under the first frame of health and safety, we've taken the most holistic and broad approach to the definition of health. So everything from reproductive health to physical health to nutritional health to mental health. We are centering those aspects of women and girls and non-binary with a holistic approach of really looking at them as whole beings. And so mental health fits squarely in the focus of what the department is doing.
Yes, no, why do you think that mental health awareness is crucial for San Francisco right now?
Yeah, well, I think mental health, the topic of mental health is crucial, not just for San Francisco, not just for this country, but really for our world. And the reality is, in the last several years, we've individually and collectively gone through a lot. As I mentioned earlier, we've gone through a once-in-a-generation pandemic, which really changed every aspect of our society and lives. We've gone through and continue to go through, quite frankly, a racial reckoning from the murders of George Floyd, of Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, to just recently, Sandra Bland. And so when we talk about sort of some of the things that we have gone through individually and collectively as a society, not to mention the increasingly polarized and violent, political state of our country right now, there's a huge need for us to really prioritize and focus on mental health. And so that really, led us to really want to invest funds and resources in educating and equipping and resourcing people with the tools and information to live lives that have mental health at the center of them.
Yeah. So a lot of people may not know that you brought forth this campaign, you brought forth this idea of creating something for mental health. And was there something in San Francisco that you saw where you felt like it was important, men and youth as well? And so is there something that you're seeing that you felt that it was important for you to expand your services, to expand the services in this way?
Sure. So I would say one of the biggest sort of indicators that this was needed and important was a survey that was done a while back that suggested that historically marginalized and disinvested in communities like communities of color and women did not feel that mental health services were accessible or culturally competent for their needs. And so in many ways, this and your initiative was perceived as an opportunity to meet people where they're at, to not sort of require or ask people to go and find those services, to really bring the services to the people. So that was a big piece of why. And to your question about sort of expanding this beyond women and girls and non-binary people, this is all part of a campaign that we've been waging within the department, and that is to reframe narratives, broken, negative, wrong narratives around many things, including our communities. And so reframing the narrative, around mental health, sort of destigmatizing it, getting over, the historical nature of it being a taboo subject that we can't talk about, normalizing it is really important. And that goes hand in hand with normalizing the idea that it has never been either or. It has always been both and. And so that goes with respect to men and women, with our seniors and our youth, with different races, Black, white, Asian, Latina, you name it. We've always sort of been cultured to believe that it's us versus them, or a very binary system. And so this is part of breaking out of that binary system, understanding that everything is everything. Everything is connected. And so what impacts women impacts men. What impacts our communities of color impacts our white communities. And so understanding that we are all connected, and that the most holistic approach to all of these issues is really to have a both and an expanded sort of vision of how we approach problems and solutions.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm most excited about with this campaign is bringing light to all of the cultural ways to heal. You know, as everyone embarks on their healing journey, you know, there's no right or wrong way to go about it. And, you know, every culture has like, you know, drumming, teas, like, you know, all these different ways that can help guide individuals as they go on their healing journey. And just learning about all the different ways and being able to bring light to that and bringing people together to experience and enjoy that is something that I'm really looking forward to. And that's what we'll be highlighting in the programs that we'll be doing in the fall. But just the cultural aspect of it, I think, is so powerful. And I'm grateful to have that opportunity to, you know, be able to dwell in those different spaces as well. I've been meeting so many people, so many different professionals, you know, working in this sector that just, you know, has taught me so much, you know, about healing, you know, so many things that we don't know. And, you know, a lot of people think that it's just about going to a therapist when, you know, it's so much more than that. It's still much more than that. So when we talk about the successes, what do you see as a success for this type of campaign? What would be successful to you for our city?
So one of the things that I think we really should prioritize, again, as it relates to understanding the interconnectedness of all of this, is that all pieces and parts of this city know about this initiative, whether they live in the Marina or whether they live in the Bayview. It would be really great if everyone in this city knew that there was a mental health initiative going on, and be encouraged by that to either help promote it or participate in it or advocate for future resources so that it moves from a pop-up to a program.
Right. Yeah, I think that's important too. You know, a collective approach, shall I say. You know, this is something that I definitely can't do alone, or, you know, nobody can do it alone. You know, it takes the collaboration of other nonprofits or community leaders, or just a community investment, you know, of time for something like this. And so I guess that would go into my next question about how would you like to see local organizations or community leaders contribute? But it sounds like with like the sharing of information, showing up at the pop-ups, you all hear this here first. Director Ellis says show up and participate. It's important. You know, a lot of people are doing different things, you know, and so I definitely have learned that too, but collaboration is key, of course, when it comes to this. Let's see. And so how can the Department on the Status of Women contribute to a systematic change in the mental health field? And so, and this is more on like the policy, you know, systematic level. You know, the work that I'm doing is on the ground level. You know, the nonprofits, you know, they do their part as well. But is there room for policies, systemic changes that can also help bring light, awareness, and support into the community? Absolutely.
And again, one of the reasons why this initiative has the potential to be so powerful. You know, a lot of times policymakers like to have proof of concept, if you will, right, before policy is made. What's the research that's been done? Are there surveys? What have the surveys demonstrated? What are people saying? What's out there? What's not out there? What do they need? And so this is an opportunity really for the initiative to proof of concept that there is a need for this kind of programming. To not just be a one-time, you know, sort of pop-up initiative, but to be ongoing programming, which could be codified through policy, that this is something that this city is committed to investing in and supporting.
Are there any particular policies that you see that are necessary for mental health? Because I know that in San Francisco we get a lot of, substance abuse, which, environments of San Francisco. But has there been anything specifically for mental health?
Well, I think there have been a lot of things, but I think, to your
directly for mental health.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think it depends. Certainly the Department of Public Health has a lot of initiatives and programs that they run. But honestly, I think this is one of those issues, like many issues, quite frankly, where the community should be leading.
Right.
And so, one of the things that I would really like to see an emphasis on is us normalizing mental health. And even saying the words, I was thinking earlier on my drive over, I'm Gen X. And so, my generation, I don't even remember us talking about mental health or feeling comfortable in our culture and society to even say the words mental health. So really getting to a place where we normalize talking about mental health, such that we move to the place where it is prioritized and it is then expected, right? Changing culture, changing behavior, so that we go from taboo to normalize to it is an expectation, for example, that it's taught in schools from a very early age, such that when you become adults, having a therapist is not a very unusual thing. It is a routine, regular part of overall health. And so that is something that I believe the community can and should, quite frankly, take the lead on reframing that narrative for departments and policymakers and what have you.
Yeah, actually, hearing you say that, it just makes me think about an organization that I sit on the board with. As part of their benefits package, they are allowing mental health days for their staff. So, if you're, every once in a while we just don't feel like it. We're not sick, we just don't feel like it. And feelings like that should be accounted for, and it should be fully accepted that you call into work and be like, I'm going to take a mental health day today. And just take that time to rest, relax, and be ready to serve the community, the next day. Or even in the benefits package where you provide access to telehealth. Yep. And you can now access a therapist on your phone, to where you don't even have to try to find someone. Now you're talking to somebody in Memphis, Tennessee, but they're just as qualified to help you with your needs. Just I think about things like that when we talk about making it the norm, to where, you feel comfortable enough to call your boss and be like, it's not today, and not feel shame about it. I think that's something very powerful, and it also is a reciprocation, because it shows that we're valuing you as a staff and how you're putting out in the community and the work that you do, and then that's the reward for that, is that take your time, rest and heal, and come back.
That's right.
That's what I think about. So what can listeners do to support this campaign and contribute to the mental health of their community? Well, you just said to mental health. To finish the question, contribute to the mental health of their communities. But, just going back to what you were just saying about, addressing the stigma, having people feeling safe to talk about it in communities, and, and even in the households as well, just being open to recognizing when your child is not feeling well or doesn't seem well, or when your parent seems off, and being okay with making a comment about it. I also learned about this one training that's happening, and I don't know if it's in the schools and in the SFUSD or if it's just happening in community, but it's called Mental Health 101 for Teens. And it teaches teens how to recognize in their peers when there's mood changes, or, when somebody's happy or sad, or, when there's shifts in the dynamics of your friend groups and things like that. To prepare, to help prepare and to educate communities for what you're talking about, making that culture shift, or that, change for that. But is there anything else in closing that you may want to highlight or bring light to about the work that we're doing in San Francisco?
Yeah. I would just say what you're doing is incredibly important, and it is very timely. Again, to really think about all of the things that we've gone through in the last several years, and the very challenging road ahead. We need to have better tools at our disposal to be able to deal with this ever-changing terrain that we call life. And to the extent that we can learn from our mistakes and learn from the past, not just for ourselves, but for our future generations, we're all going to be the better off for it. One of my most favorite poets ever is Maya Angelou, who was the first female cable car operator here in San Francisco. And she said, when you know better, you do better. And I believe that to be true for so many things, but especially with respect to the issue of mental health. As I said before, my generation and certainly earlier generations, we were cultured to not talk about it, to not talk about our feelings, to push everything down, to just deal, get over it. And, in some instances that may have served us well, and in so many others, not so much. And so now that we know better, we should do better, and really create an environment for future generations where they can not just survive, but thrive. Yeah. And so that really is, in my opinion, what this initiative is all about, and has the potential to really demonstrate for everyone else and for San Francisco. And I've always believed that San Francisco, because of its beautiful geographic location, because of the incredible wealth that's here, because of the intellect that's here, it has both the opportunity and also an obligation to lead. And so it's incredible to see this initiative being led by communities of color, by women of color, by a Black woman, to really demonstrate how we can have a different reality, not just in San Francisco, but perhaps create a model for other places to follow with respect to mental health and changing the narrative around it.
Yes, I am definitely here for that challenge too. And thank you for choosing me. So we have a lot of fun and exciting work ahead of us. And I definitely, look forward to engaging the community, collaborating, and just bringing light to all of the wonderful, robust resources that we have here in the city. And so I think it's going to be exciting times, because I feel like everyone is at a crossroad right now, to get over that hump and to keep moving forward. And like you said, thrive. We're in a place now where we need to be thriving in this city, creating new and just thriving off of it. And so whatever I can do to help, I'm definitely happy to be a part of that. So, and thank you so much again for coming and talking to us. I really enjoyed this conversation. Like always, you are so enlightening to talk to. You're always dropping good nuggets, good nuggets for me. So I thank you. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.